Tracy Daniel says, for those of us that had no known health issues and then reacted to the booster with mast cell activation syndrome, can we expect a complete recovery and discontinue the medications that worked for us individually? Should we test for any long-term health issues as a result of this experience? Yes, you can definitely fully recover. Everyone can really fully recover. So, as long as even, it's just how difficult it'll be, right? So, human beings, at least up until the age of 5 or 6, can generally speaking regrow the tip of their finger if they chop it off. Okay, this is real science. This is like, yeah, everyone knows this. Well, everyone doesn't know this, but everyone will agree with it if they look it up. So if you chop off the tip of your finger and you're like a 3-year-old, it will literally regenerate. You'll regrow like a salamander. You'll regrow the tip of your finger, including the nail. Okay, like a perfect new finger tip. But we lose that when we get older. So I do think that people can actually regain that. They just believe that they can, and it's harder to do. Obviously, as a child, it'll just happen automatically. But there are stories of people. I had a qigong teacher who mentioned somebody. I think that they had lost a bone in their ear or something, and he was like, "Yeah, that can be regrown." And other people have had experiences with qigong masters who help them recover from things that, where there was something actually like missing from their body, and they had to kind of like regrow that missing piece. So it is possible to do this, and it's related to charge fields, electromagnetic fields, as Robert Becker discovered in the salamanders. And human beings can stimulate those electromagnetic fields within their own bodies, or healers can stimulate them for them. It's just that it's not simple. It's not easy. It's not that straightforward. It's not that fast, right? It takes prolonged effort and focus to do it over the course of, many months. So anyway, getting back to the question, definitely MCAS you can recover from. So it's likely that if you developed MCAS that you had a predisposition to MCAS due to something about yourself, right? That could be trauma in your childhood and exposure to all the different toxins we're exposed to in the modern world, and lifestyle factors, doing things, suboptimally, and, different other things, negative beliefs and thoughts and emotions and all that stuff. So you have some kind of milieu or, recipe that made MCAS, it was like just beneath the surface, and a little bit of a, one extra straw, broke the camel's back, right? The last straw. But it was already there. It was already developing. It was already, it's not just the booster created all of it. This is a key thing to understand, that it's almost always a last straw. Okay. And it's not the full cause on its own, which is why a lot of people, if they just focus on healing spike or detaching spike and doing that spike related stuff, they don't always get 100% better. So a lot of people do, but some people don't. So you do need to focus on other things. There will be, like I've said before, 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 people who can simply ivermectin, low-dose naltrexone for a few months and still prone to getting long COVID again, and to the things they haven't addressed, right? So they've just taken an easy way out that didn't actually fix the underlying problem. So yeah, you can definitely get off of the medications. Should you test for any long-term health issues? You need to consult with a physician. It's hard to say like what what everyone with MCAS should do. Again, everyone is going to be different. Everyone's going to be very different, and testing isn't always isn't even usually required or indicated if you're talking to somebody who knows what they're doing, and they can usually talk to you and get a very good idea of what's wrong based on your symptoms. And it would be highly unlikely that you had zero symptoms before you got the MCAS. Almost everyone in the modern world has some symptoms of suboptimal health, and they just kind of brush them off and they don't pay attention to them. You can get a long way towards addressing and alleviating a lot of your problems by just making sure to incorporate stress management into your daily life if you're living in a modern industrialized society, because you are exposed to chronic stressors that no people before were ever exposed to. Okay. Light can be a stressor. So if you have any lights on after sunset, you are exposed to chronic stress. If you sit indoors or work indoors a lot and you can't open the windows, like right now I have the window open, it's daytime here, and so sunlight is coming in, not going through window glass. When sunlight passes through window glass, it blocks the UV and it blocks the infrared, the near infrared. Everyone agrees infrared, near infrared are photobiomodulating beneficial wavelengths of light that have anti-inflammatory healing effects, right? Those are blocked. And then not everyone believes this, but it's true. The UVA also has beneficial effects, anti-inflammatory healing effects. And UVB is also a necessary nutrient, right? People think that it's harmful and they'll do things like, try to block it, and even put, layers on their glass that will specifically block out even more UV. But just plain window glass itself will block out some of the balancing wavelengths in sunlight that help to counteract the somewhat stressful effects of the blue light. So it's not that blue light's bad. Blue light is just like every wavelength in natural sunlight. It's extremely important for our health, and especially in the morning and midday, you want to get the blue light from the sun with the other balancing wavelengths so that it doesn't have a negative effect on you, but it gives you its positive effect while no negative effect. So blue light can kill cells in the retina, but not when you have the other wavelengths of sunlight. So anyway, my point here is that we're exposed to a lot of stress. And then there's Wi-Fi and there's, technology that we're using, and there's cell phone networks and all this stuff, right? 5G and 4G as well. And then there's the stuff in our air and our water and our food. And so there's a lot of stressors. One solution is to get rid of those stressors, right? You can't always get rid of all of them. And so you have to do something extra in order to counterbalance them. Okay. So when you cannot escape the harm, then you have to do something to counterbalance it. The best thing you can do is to remove the harm. Okay. That's absolutely the best thing you can always do from a standpoint of health and from any standpoint. So the most important thing is, if possible, remove the harm. And then if you can't remove the harm, then you try to do something that is natural, that makes sense to your body to counteract the harm. So breath work is what I'm trying to get at here, or Qigong or Tai Chi or stretching even, or just walking or spending time with people, hugging people, sleeping with somebody. So human touch, massages, very, very beneficial, all of this stuff. But you have to structure it. You have to make a place for it in your day and do it every single day. So breath work is easy. I like alternate nostril breathing. And there's a buzzing bee breath also that works really well. But you have to kind of work up to it. You don't want to do too much too fast. But alternate nostril breathing is really easy. And there's research showing it balances brain waves in both hemispheres of the brain. If one side is clogged up, get something to kind of like push the nasal septum over so that you can try to unblock that side so that you can breathe in. So you could get like a copper wand, nasal copper wand from, I think it's called American Ayurveda. They have a website and they're also on Amazon. The copper wands can also be used for killing bacteria, microbes in your nose and mouth. So you can sweep it through your mouth, wash it, sweep it through each nostril, wash it, and it can be used, reused indefinitely. The copper just kills things on contact. So if you're coming, I wouldn't do this all the time, but you can do it, especially if you're coming down with something. You can also get copper tongue scrapers. So it might, in some cases, for some people, be useful to kind of cull the herd, right? So you've got this microbiome that's very beneficial for you, but sometimes you need to kind of like beat them back a little bit. They're a little bit, overgrown. But especially if you feel like you're coming down with something, or if you're in an environment where you might be exposed to something that could make you sick, then you can do these sweeps with the copper wand. But anyway, you can also use it for this purpose of, if you've got like a deviated septum, or you have one side that's all clogged all the time. In that situation, only one hemisphere of your brain is being stimulated, basically, by the breathing that you're doing. And so you're not going to be balanced, neurologically speaking. And so your um, experience of reality could get a lot better if you do this. And it only takes like 4 to 5, maybe max 10 minutes, but like 5 minutes before your brain waves start to balance in both hemispheres. So your right and left hemisphere, right? So definitely give this a try. And again, do whatever it takes to unclog the nose if you need to. So you keep your mouth closed, and you you start off at the right nostril. First, you breathe out all the way, and then you breathe in, and just kind of count. Breathe in comfortably, fully. Maybe it takes 4 or 5 seconds to do it, and then you plug both nostrils. Hold your breath for as long as it took you to breathe in. So count up to the same number: four 1,000, 5 1,000, whatever. And then you plug the right side, and then you breathe out through the left nostril for double the amount of time you took to breathe in. And then once you're done, you breathe in again through the left nostril right away. And then you hold both nostrils and hold your breath for the same amount of time you breathed in through the left nostril. And then you breathe out through the right nostril twice as long as it took you to breathe in. And that's one round. So you start at the right, go to the left, go back to the right, and that's one round. So you should always finish one round. And people do this for like 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, focusing on their breathing. It's meditative experience. It does come from Ayurveda, but it's not a religious thing. So anyone can use it. And in general, the things from Ayurveda and yoga and other things like that, Qigong, these aren't religious things. So it doesn't matter if you're Christian, atheist, whatever, you can use these things. So that's a simple thing people can do. There's a lot of other, breathwork exercises. So find one that works for you, but you got to spend a significant amount of time. And what you'll find is even people who don't think that they're stressed out, if they do this for like 10 minutes a day, maybe twice a day, after a few weeks, they'll realize that they feel a lot better than they used to feel, and that they were actually stressed out. They didn't realize it. And it's not always like emotional, or like it's not always, sometimes it's subconscious. So you just feel better physically, right? Because your body's under stress, right? It's not that you're necessarily psychologically stressed. That's not what I'm saying. But your body experiences any form of stress, whether it's something causing inflammation, or a psychological stress, or a job, someone you're married to, or light or electromagnetic fields. They're all interpreted by your body as stress, right? And they are a stress on your body. So that whole giant bucket of stress from all the different sources can be mitigated, can be offset, using these relaxation exercises. And so it's really quite important for people.